Study Section 4. Introduction to Web Programming. Beginning web programming with HTML and SHTML. Introduction. In the previous study session, we distinguished between web applications and web services. Therefore, in this study session, we will examine critically HTML and XHTML as the basis for building websites. Learning outcomes. When you have studied this session, you should be able to examine the difference between tags, elements, and attributes. Analyze how a web page uses markup to describe how the page should be structured. Use different HTML elements to format a web page. Differentiate between HTML and XHTML. A web of structured document. The web is like a sea of documents all linked together. This document bears a strong similarity to the documents that you meet in everyday life. For example, I have a form sitting on my desk which I really must mail from an insurance company. This form contains fields for me to write my name, address, and the amount of coverage I want, and boxes I have to check to indicate the number of rooms in the house and what type of lock I have on my front door. Indeed, that asks what you are looking for to the registration forms you are required to go through before you can place an online order for books or CDs. Consider another example. Say I am catching a train to see a friend, so I check the schedule to see what time the trains go that way. The main part of the schedule is a table telling me what times trains arrive and when they depart from different stations. In the same way that a lot of documents have headings and paragraphs, a lot of other documents use tables. From the stocks and shares pages in the financial supplement of your paper to the TV listings at the back, you come across tables of information every day, and these are often recreated on the web. As you can see, there are many parallels between the structure of printed document you come across every day and pages you see on the web. So you will hardly be surprised to learn that when it comes to writing web pages, your code tells the web browser the structure of the information you want to display, what text to put in a heading or in a paragraph or in a table, and so on, so that the browser can represent it properly to the user. In order to tell a web browser the structure of a document, how to make a heading, a paragraph, a table, and so on, you need to learn HTML and XHTML. HTML and XHTML. XHTML, or Extensible Hypertext Markup Language, and its predecessor HTML are the most widely used languages on the web. As its name suggests, XHTML is a markup language. The key purpose of this kind of markup is to provide a structure that makes the document easier to understand. When marking up documents for the web, you are performing a very similar process, except you do it by adding things called tags to the text. However, the way these are presented is up to the browser. The XHTML specification does not say which font should be used or what size that font should be, while earlier versions of HTML allowed you to control the presentation of a document. Things like which type of things like which typefaces and colors a document should use. XHTML markup is not supposed to be used to style the document. That is the job of CSS. A very simple web page. Simply use a text editor such as Notepad or Windows or TextEdit on a Mac and save your files with an HTML file extension. HTML, head, title, popular website, Google, /title, head, body, H1, about Google, /H1, P. Google is best known for its search engine, although Google now offers a number of other services. /P. Google's mission is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. P. Its founders, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, started Google at Stanford University. /P. /body /HTML. There are several sets of angle brackets with words or letters between them, such as HTML, head, /title, and /body. These angle brackets and the words inside them are known as tags, and these are the markup we have been talking about. About Google. Google is best known for its search engine, although Google now offers a number of other services. Google's mission is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. Its founders, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, started Google at Stanford University. Tags and element. Tags. If you look at the first and last lines of the code for the last example, you will see pairs of angle brackets containing the letters HTML, the two brackets, and all of the characters between them are known as a tag, and there are lots of tags in the example. All the tags in this example come in pairs. There are opening tags and closing tags. The closing tag is always slightly different from the opening tag in that it has a / after the first angled bracket /HTML. A pair of tags and other content this include are known as an element. Figure 4.2 Opening and closing tags. The opening tag says this is the beginning of a headline. Take 2. This is the beginning of a heading, and the closing tag says this is the end of a heading. Like most of the tags in XHTML, the text inside the angled bracket explains the purpose of the tag. Here, H1 indicates that it is a level 1 heading or top level heading. As you will see shortly, there are also tags for subheadings H2, H3, H4, H5, and H6. Without the markup, the words about Google in the middle of the tags would just be another bit of text. It would not be clear that they formed the heading. Element, parent, and child. Tags are the angle bracket and the letters and numbers between them, whereas elements are tags and anything between the opening and closing tags. You will often find that terms from a family tree are used to describe the relationships between elements. For example, an element that contains another element is known as a parent, while the element that is between the parent element opening and closing tags is called a child of that element. So, the title element is a child of the head element. The head element is the parent of the title element, and so on. Furthermore, the title element can be thought of as a grandchild of the HTML element. Parts of a web page. There are two main parts of the page. One, the head element, often referred to as the head of the page. This contains information about the page. This is not main content of the page. Take 2. This is not the main content of the page. It is information such as a title and a description of the page, or keywords that search engines can use to index the page. It consists of the opening head tag, the closing /head tag, and everything in between. The real content of your page is held in the body element, which is what you want users to read and is shown in the main browser window. Attributes. Attributes are used to say something about the element that carries them, and they always appear on the opening tag of the element that carries them. All attributes are made up of two parts, a name and a value. 1. The name is the property of the element that you want to set. In this example, the A element carries an attribute whose name is href, which you can use to indicate where the link should take you. 2. The value is what you want the value of the property to be. In this example, the value was the URL that the link should take you to. So the value of the href attribute is http://www.google.com. The value of the attribute should always be put in double quotation marks, and it is separated from the name by the equal sign. If you wanted the link to open in a new window, you could add a target attribute to the opening A tag as well and give it a value of blank. A href is equal to inverted comma http://www.google.com inverted comma. Target is equal to inverted comma underscore blank inverted comma. This illustrates that elements can carry several attributes, although an element should never have two attributes of the same name. Attribute groups. As you have seen, attributes live on the opening tag of an element and provide extra information about the element that carries them. All attributes consist of a name and a value. The name reflects a property of the element the attribute is describing, and the value is a value for that property. For example, the XML:lang attribute describes the language used within that element. A value such as EN/US would indicate that the language used inside the element is US English. There are three groups of attributes that many of the HTML elements can carry. As you have already seen, the HTML head, title, and body element share some of these attributes. The three attribute groups are 1. Core attributes, the class, ID, and title attributes. 2. Internationalization attributes, the dir, lang, and XML:lang attributes. 3. Your event attributes associated with events on click, on double click, on mouse down, on mouse up, on mouse over, on mouse move, on mouse out, on key press, on key down, and on key up. Together, the core attributes and the internationalization attribute are known as the universal attributes. More on element category, formatting, type, HN, where N is any number between 1 and 6. Description: XHTML offers 6 levels of headings which use the element H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, and H6. While browsers can display headings differently, they tend to display the H1 element as the largest of the 6 and H6 as the smallest. CSS can be used to override the size and style of any of the elements. Example: H1 basic text formatting /H1. P. Creating paragraphs. P here is a paragraph of text /P. P here is a second paragraph of text /P. P here is a third paragraph of text /P. BR. Creating line breaks. Whenever you use the BR /element, anything following it starts on the next line. The BR/element is an example of an empty element where you do not need opening and closing tags because there is nothing to go in between them. More on element. Pre. Creating performated text. Any text between the opening pre tag and the closing pre. Tag will preserve the formatting of the source document. Two of the most common uses of the pre element are to display tabular data without the use of a table, in which case you must use the monospaced font or columns will not align correctly, and to represent computer source code. For example, the following shows some JavaScript inside a pre element. Presentational element. This element affects only the presentation of a document. The full list is bold, italic, monospaced, underline, strike through, teletype, larger, smaller, superscripted, and subscripted text. Anything that appears the following word in a B element is would be bold/B be displayed in bold. This B element has the same effect as a strong element, which you will meet later, and is used to indicate that its content have strong emphasis. Comment. You can put comment between any tags in your XHTML document. Comment use the following syntax. Comment goes here. Anything after take 2. Comment use the following syntax. Bracket angle open, exclamation mark, hyphen hyphen, comment goes here, hyphen hyphen, angle bracket closed. Anything after until the closing will not be displayed. It can still be seen in the source code for the document, but it is not shown on screen. It is good practice to comment your code, especially in complex documents, to indicate sections of a document and any other note to anyone looking at the code. Comments help you and others understand your code. ITQ question feedback. Study section summary. In this study session, you learned that 1. HTML and H2. HTML and XHTML are needed to explain the structure of any web pages. They are used to indicate what text should be considered a heading, where paragraphs start and end, and what images should appear in the document, and to specify links between different pages. 2. Tags are the angle brackets and the letters and numbers between them, whereas elements are tags and anything between the opening and closing tags. 3. An element that contains another element is known as a parent, while the element that is between the parent element opening and closing tags is called a child of that element. 4. There are two main parts to the page, head element and the body element. 5. Attributes are used to say something about the element that carries them, and they always appear on the opening tag of the element that carries them. 6. The three attribute groups are core attribute, the class ID and title attribute, the internationalization attribute, the der_lang and xmlang attribute, UI event attributes associated with event, on click, on double click, on mouse down, on mouse up, on mouse over, on mouse move, on mouse out, on key press, on key down, and on key up. 7. This element consists of an opening tag, a closing tag, and some content between the opening and closing tags. In order to alter some properties of element, the opening tag may carry attributes, and attributes are always written as name-value pairs. 8. By default, most browsers display the content of the H1, H2, and H3 element larger than the default size of text in the document. The content of the H4 element will be the same size as the default text, and the content of the H5 and H6 element will be smaller. 9. The 6 levels of headings H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, and H6. 10. Paragraphs P. Performated sections pre, line breaks, br/, and addresses address. 11. Presentational element D, I, U, S, T, T, sub, strike, big, small, and HR/. 12. It is good practice to comment your code, especially in complex documents, to indicate sections of a document and any other note to anyone looking at the code. Comments help you and others understand your code. This is the end of study section 4. Thanks for listening.